Hi, welcome to Glitter Glue and Fairy Dust. This is Amy, and today we are going to make this stacked furry pumpkins. So, I took 3 of the Dollar Tree pumpkins, the styrofoam pumpkins. It really doesn't matter the color because we're covering them with yarn anyway. I just happened to get the orange because that's what my Dollar Tree had. I took 3 different colors of the furry yarn. And I wanted it to be the furry yarn, not regular yarn. You could use that, I suppose, if you want, but like I said, I wanted mine to be furry. And I loved these colors. So the first pumpkin is in that mustard color. Now, I bought 2 rolls, or 2 skeins of each color. I only used 1. How I'm wrapping these, just so you can see it, is I'm just kind of wrapping a few times and then turning it a little bit. I am gluing every once in a while just to secure the yarn, and I'm even changing the position in which I go. The only rule here, if you want to say it that way, is that I'm just trying to create no patterns. At first I thought I would really try to make sure that I defined the grooves, but they're really more implied instead of implicit, especially because the shape of the pumpkin is the thing that gives it away. You know it's a pumpkin. You don't need specific grooves in it because it's got it in there. You can see it on the shape. So I did use the entire roll, even though it started to look pretty covered about a little over half, maybe 3/4 of the way. It wasn't completely necessary to finish with the yarn, but I wanted it to be fluffy, so I just kept going. At first I thought I was going to use the stems, so I did save them at first, but I decided not to use them. I just couldn't make them work, so I didn't use the stems or save the stems. I actually got some stems from my yard, just some grapevine wreath that was kind of breaking off. So I just, not wreath, grapevine. So I just broke a little off and used that as the stems. If you don't have that, you can either get the stems from the Dollar Tree if you can find them. I've never been able to. Or, like I said, go out to your yard and grab some sticks. That's probably the easiest way to do it. And in fact, if you don't have stems, it'll be okay. So there's a million different ways to handle it, or you can just paint the stems that come with it. Now this yarn actually was pretty good. It didn't knot up on me, except for just the one color knotted up on me a little bit towards the end, so I didn't use the complete skein on that one. No worries. Now I actually had this idea and did this project and hadn't seen anybody else do any of these furry pumpkins or use these pumpkins. I did see someone use one after I completed this project, and it looked like they just popped their stem right out. So each pumpkin may be just a little bit different. It may pop out easier than I cut mine out. It may just pop out. I loved this red color. I thought it was so rich and pretty. This is the one that kind of knotted up on me a little bit, but I just cut the knot off and used the rest. It was fine. And as you can see, every once in a while I would just glue it down just to make sure it's secure, and then I just kind of change my direction a little bit just to make sure I'm covering all of the orange. The great thing is these colors blend really well with the orange, so if by some chance you found that you didn't have anything covered, it would be fine. But honestly, the one roll or the one skein of yarn was plenty. Okay, so I wanted to stack my pumpkins. At first, I wanted to make them look like they were kind of coming out of a wheelbarrow, but I just didn't have the apparatus in order to do that. So I decided to stack them. So I took a pallet and a dowel from the Crafter Square, and I used antique wax from Waverly, and I stained them and then wiped it off. And I apologize I didn't get that in here. I thought I did, but apparently I didn't. You didn't actually need to stain the dowel, so that's actually an unnecessary step. Don't do it. So what I did was took a knitting needle from the Dollar Tree and pushed it through the pumpkin where I wanted the dowel to go through. On all three of them. So I just took the knitting needle, pushed it through, and then put the dowel through. I put the dowel from the bottom, about the middle of the bottom pumpkin. I just pushed it through the top of it. And then I made the hole in the orange pumpkin, and I pushed it all the way through that pumpkin. And then I stacked those two, and then I did the same thing from the bottom of the yellow pumpkin and put it up through from the orange one. So I stacked from the bottom up. Then I decided it needed a little bit more support. So then I did the same thing with another dowel from the top down. So I basically have a dowel that goes from the red through the orange, halfway through the yellow from the bottom, and then I have one that goes from the top through the yellow and through the orange and a little bit in the red. So it looks like it's gonna fall over. It looks willy-nilly, but I promise it's stacked. And part of this was just that I needed to glue it down a little bit. Now here, that was me trying to get my hammer. I thought, oh, I'll hammer this in. Okay, that didn't happen. So you can see I realized the error of my ways. I'm not going to hammer. I just left a little bit of the dowel sticking out. As you can see, I'm showing you there. I'm going to attach my bow to that. So no worries. It's all fine. I left it that way on purpose at the end of the day. So the way I stacked these may not have been the most fortuitous way. You could have stacked them a little bit different, but that's what I ended up with. So if you want to stack it a different way, just use the dowels and the knitting needle to make the hole and then stack them. So as far as the ribbon goes, I just had the ribbon that I liked with the fall colors, and I took the checked orange ribbon, and then I had one that was just orange with gold wire on the side. You can see, and then I had orange burlap, and then I had some, I don't know what you call it. I struggle with that every time. It's like feels almost like plasticky, like that one that you can see right there. It's kind of frilly. So I had 3 different types of ribbon. I first dovetailed the checkered ribbon, and every piece was a little bit different size. I did not measure. I did not measure any of it. But what I'm doing here is on the burlap ribbon, I didn't dovetail. What I did was fray the ends. You can see here I'm going about 6 or 7 rows in, and I'm just pulling out the cross ribbon, so I'm fraying it. I'm doing that on both ends. I want this bow to have dimension, and I want it to have now my words aren't coming. I want it to look full. So I'm basically making every piece of ribbon and every end of the ribbons just a little bit different from the one before it. Bows are not my forte, so this way it looks like I did everything on purpose, and I know what I'm doing with bows. But because I've added so many different kinds of ribbon in, and each one of them has just another texture, it makes the bow look more put together than it actually is. This is a messy bow on purpose. So don't feel like there has to be a rule. Don't feel like you can't do it, because you can. And If you are really good at bows and you want to do more of a long-tailed bow on this, I think it would look really cute. I just really wanted to do this messy bow because I know that I can stack these on top of each other and make them look really good. So this feels like I'm showing you a very long explanation for something that may not be that long, but this is how I arrived at my bow, as you can see. Kind of slowed it down to show you what I'm doing here. So this is another one of those projects that when it's finished, I do like it. I actually think it's a fun little project, but it was different in my head when I started, and I think that's the fun of crafting, is that, you know, you get in a mindset of what you want to do, and then you roll with the way it turns out. So on this, I'm just kind of stacking each piece of ribbon progressively smaller until I get to the top. Now you'll see that some are shorter and some are longer that I'm putting on top of each other. Again, really no rules, just getting progressively smaller. And then I used a gold pipe cleaner. I knew that it would match my ribbon, so that's why I chose to use it. I put it in the middle of where the ribbons were. I folded them over and then I twisted it to hold it. Now I'm just basically going back to find the middle again, and I'm opening everything up, and then I'm just going to kind of push them and pull them until I like the way the bow looks. And because there is a lot of texture in there because of the way that, you know, with the burlap and the wired ribbons that are going on there, this looks really full. The pipe cleaner, or the chenille stem, I did not cut off the ends. I basically curled the ends and then left them almost like a pumpkin tendril on the other side. So you'll see that when I attach it. I just curled the ends. So the next thing I'm going to do after this bow, just so you know, is make the tendrils. And I did that with wired jute twine that I got from the Dollar Tree. It did give me trouble, so I did glue the ends of it, and I'll show you this in just a second after I finish fluffing my bow. I am doing this in real time here, so it is in real time. So here's the jute twine. Basically, I cut myself a length of it, and then I wrapped it around the knitting needle to, you know, get the circles that I wanted. And as far as the lengths go, there's really no rhyme or reason. I just kind of wanted a good size length, but because it kept kind of unraveling, I did put a little hot glue on the ends and then twist it. And then I just cut it with my scissors and did the same on the other end. And then I grabbed some of the grapevine from my backyard, and so I just wrapped the tendril around the bottom of the grapevine and then cut those to the length that I wanted to put on the pumpkins. Now the bottom pumpkin, obviously I did not put a stem on because I have the other two pumpkins on the top of it, and then the top two pumpkins, the orange one and the yellow one, I did put a stem on either side. So I wrapped each stem with a little bit of the tendril and then glued them on. And as you can see, this one I did shorter, the other one I did quite a bit longer. But I wanted each pumpkin to kind of look a little different from each other because that's what happens in real life. You know, they kind of all look different. So that's what I've done here. I decided to add a second length. So I did the same thing again, just wrapped it around, glued it, wrapped it around. Sorry, it's not in frame as much as it should be. Okay, so here I've got all the pumpkins stacked and I'm putting the stems on. I took my X-Acto knife and just cut a tiny bit of a hole to put my stem in, but I found that actually was unnecessary. I just glued it onto the yarn, and if you hold it there, then it attaches. There's no need to try to put any holes in it. That is just consternation that you do not need in your life. After I glued on the stems and I put the bow on the top, I grabbed some picks of leaves that I had. This is just a random pick. I didn't, it's not even a full pick. I just took a couple bunches of leaves and I put it on each of the pumpkins. The bottom pumpkin, I did put some coming out of the side. And then the top two pumpkins, I put one on each, or near each stem. So they did all have leaves. The bottom one, I basically put 2 leaves, and then it did have some little embellishments that looked like little berries, and I did put that there as well. So here's a picture of it. I hope you like it. It's a funny project. I'm actually going to put it on my table. I like the way it looks. It's going to be great with my other decorations. I'd love to see your stacked pumpkin projects. If you want to send pictures or put them in the comments, that'd be great. Thank you for stopping by. I appreciate you're spending your time here with me today. I hope you have a great week.